the question box, and we'll take them at the end. Now, we have mentioned this to you all before that we were bringing in Dunkirk. I want to be very clear that we're not replacing peelers. Where our dealers go in terms of peelers and Dunkirk will be up to the dealer and how you present the products. But there's, at this point in time, no intent to replace peelers. In terms of the process that we went through to select Dunkirk, we actually had a fairly rigorous process which included an RFP-like request for proposal from multiple vendors, and also actually going up to the site and looking at not just the manufacturing facility, but how they develop products, how they maintain their quality, how they support the products post-sales. And I have to say Dunkirk was extremely impressive. So out of that whole process, we did select Dunkirk. Part of that team involved was Rob out of Valley Forge and John Lauer out of Camp Hill. So we did involve you as the branches and had representatives on that team. So what we're going to do is go through the key features and functions of the product. Where we see them playing particularly strongly is with the Dunkirk product in the high efficiency range. So really pay attention on the Helix side. And then for sort of what I call the low income sort of urban areas, maybe very rural areas, we brought in the Pennco product, which is also owned by the same parent company, ECRI. And then we have some equivalents to peerless because we wanted a full range. But the main reason for bringing Dunkirk in was to fill that high efficiency gap that peerless has vacated because they couldn't meet the new quality efficiency standards. I'm going to hand this over to Dean Waldorf, who's the rep, who most of you know, and certainly will be coming around in the next month to meet you all. So here's Dean.
Good afternoon. We're pleased to be part of the Pierce Phelps family and joining you as a vendor. We'll start today by talking, as David said, about the Helix boiler. The Helix is a wall-hung modulating condensing boiler designed and manufactured by Dunkirk. We are the only domestic boiler manufacturer that makes our own heat exchanger. Every other boiler manufacturer brings them in from Europe, and those heat exchangers are designed for European installations and European technology. So the design of the Helix boiler is extremely contractor friendly, and there's a lot of benefits to the product that will save your contractors money. There we go. Okay, so we make the boiler in 6 sizes from 50 through 299,000 BTUs. And each model modulates with a 5-to-1 turn-down ratio. Some other nice features about it is that there's an LP conversion kit standard with every boiler. They're shipped natural gas from the factory, and it's simply a brass orifice to change it from natural to propane. After the DOI retesting and re-regulation of condensing boilers, we maintained a high efficiency. We're 95% AFUE on all sizes. But the product is called VLT because the heat exchanger is installed in the boiler in a vertical position. This prevents sediment buildup within the heat exchanger, like a lot of our competitors that use the Giannone heat exchanger, which is installed horizontally and allows sediment to build up within that heat exchanger. Additionally, it's also, we laser weld 444 fins to the heat exchanger. So the coil that you see in the bottom of your screen is a one-piece 316 coil where we laser weld 444 fins. There's no welds within that coil. There's no couplings in there. It's a one-piece coil from top to bottom, kind of shaped like a spring. And so as the boiler heats up and cools down through those cycles, you get a lot of expansion and contraction within that heat exchanger. We downfire within that combustion chamber, so the condensate that's created as part of the combustion process will self-clean and continually wash the heat exchanger surface, preventing sediment buildup completely. So unlike a lot of the competitors out there, the contractor doesn't have to go in and clean the heat exchanger annually to maintain the warranty. The design of the boiler makes it self-cleaning completely. The other important feature for your customer is all older boilers that are being replaced are installed in near boiler piping, and that's the diagram on the left. All other high efficiency boilers, all other modcons, have to be piped in a primary secondary loop, which is the other smaller picture on there. That's an enormous expense to the contractor. That probably costs him about $1,000 in labor and materials to go into a job and have to repipe an entire basement into primary secondary piping. The way the Helix is designed, they can literally take out that old boiler, cut it out, put in a Helix, and then hook up their supply and return tubing to the boiler without having to engineer a primary secondary loop. And the reason is we have that primary secondary loop pre-installed within the jacket of the boiler. So again, that saves the contractor probably a half a day in having to design and build the primary secondary loop, and about $1,000 between his labor and materials. Again, there's also no guesswork involved because we've taken all that engineering into consideration and it's done. Even the supply and return piping on the boiler is 12 inches apart, so we're hydraulically separating the boiler from the system. Additionally, there's a very low pressure drop within this heat exchanger design. Half-inch PSI, same pressure drop as in a conventional cast iron boiler. So the contractor also doesn't have to buy a high head pump. The onboard circulator with the boiler is meant to drive water through the heat exchanger. So the only circulator the contractor will need will be for his central heat zone, and that's a Pennco 007 or Grundfos equivalent. He can even use the circulator that's pre-existing from the job as long as it's clean and functioning.
I'm just going to jump in as I can't resist it. What we liked about this product was it was a relatively simple install. And if you talk to the folks at Peerless, one of the challenges they have is making sure that the dealers get all the piping right, which they often do. And that's when we have to get people out there, Roger, etc., to try and get things straightened out. So this will save the dealer. How many hours do you think, Dean?
It'll save him a half a day. At least 3 to 5 hours on the job, not having to engineer and design and pipe that primary secondary loop.
So for our smaller guys, the guys that you probably interact much more often with than the big accounts, where their labor time is probably their scarcest resource, this is a really good product because it makes them a lot more productive.
Some other nice, unique features about the boiler. There is a factory-installed UL-listed low water cutoff with a test button. More and more municipalities are requiring low water cutoff. Some other of our competitors in the modulating arena require the contractor to purchase a low water cutoff. Here it's installed, and that's about another $150 to $200 savings for the contractor. This low water cutoff also happens to have a test button on it. So if the inspector requires that the contractor prove that the lower cutoff works, they don't have to disconnect anything. They simply press the button. The control that's on the boiler is a control called an Argus controller. Very simple, very easy for the contractor to get into. It provides a multitude of functions, probably more than most contractors will need out of the boiler. But the nice thing about it is it's all English text. No numbers, no letters, no codes. All in English. It tells them the operational status of the boiler, and if there's anything wrong, any sensors that may fail, or low water conditions, it'll all be spelled out basically. In addition, for your contractors that do commercial work, we see as an industry more and more modular or multiple boiler systems going in for commercial applications as opposed to the older, larger, inefficient forced draft boilers that are out there. And again, currently we make this product as high as 299,000 BTUs. That Argus controller can modulate up to 16 Helix VLT boilers without needing any additional sequencing controls. So there's a lot of functionality to the control itself. So just to recap a little bit, for those of you that have branches close to or in Philadelphia, PGW has a very attractive rebate on anything 94% and above, which this boiler obviously qualifies. Right now, the PGW rebate is $2,000 to the homeowner. In September, that rebate will drop down to $1,500. So the Helix qualifies for the local rebate of up to $1,500, depending on the municipality. Also, again, because we have the integrated pump package, we're saving them about $350 to $500 by not needing a high head pump. There's another about $200 savings because we provide the lower cutoff. The boiler comes with a mounting bracket. As odd as it seems, a lot of our competitors for wall-hung boilers require the contractor to purchase a wall-hung bracket. We give it. If the wall is not sufficient to install the boiler, we do have an optional floor stand available to mount the boiler on. As far as venting flexibility, we've made some pretty rigorous changes. The boiler can be vented with either 2 or 3 inch PVC pipe, except for the largest unit, which is 3 or 4 inch. And it can be vented either as a seal combustion system through a sidewall or through the roof in either a 2-pipe or with concentric termination. And they do not have to be vented in the same pressure zone. So in other words, you can take outdoor air from one wall and vent through a completely different wall, or take the air through a sidewall and vent through the roof. Or most recently, we've had the boiler approved that we can use indoor air for combustion. So again, in areas where there's townhouses, row houses, where an end unit is not feasible, the hardest thing for any type of seal combustion boiler is how do we vent it? We can't go out the front, we can't go out the back. We certainly can't just bring the vent pipe up three floors up through the roof. So now, with having the boiler approved for polypropylene venting material as well, that product comes in a rigid pipe or it comes in a flexible coil. With having the boiler approved to use indoor air for combustion, the contractor can now take flexible polypro and put it down the chimney and use the existing chimney as a chase, and now they can actually install and vent a Helix boiler in applications where they never could before. Additionally, outdoor reset control comes with every unit as well. The Helix comes with a 15-year heat exchanger warranty, 1 year on parts. In addition to that, we have our Peace of Mind first-year heat exchanger warranty, which tells that if the heat exchanger fails due to manufacturer's defect within the first year, at the homeowner's choice, we'll either replace the entire boiler or replace the heat exchanger, no questions asked, and give your customers $500 labor. So this is a little product comparable between ourselves and the other competitors and manufacturers of high-efficiency equipment, Triangle Tube, Wall McLean, Burnham and Crown, which is the same company, Lochinvar, Buderus. And you'll see that, again, we have the most robust heat exchanger being domestically manufactured of 316 stainless with the 444 fins. We're one of the few manufacturers that include the primary secondary piping. We do include a traditional lower cutoff. A couple other manufacturers use temperature or pressure switches. And the fact that we have a low pressure drop. When you add up all of these features and benefits to the Helix boiler, again, that's about a $1,500 savings for your contractor. Now, he's not going to sell and install this boiler for $1,500 less than whatever condensing modulating boiler he was installing before. He's just made an additional $1,500 worth of profit by installing a Dunkirk Helix boiler as opposed to any other boiler that's available on the market.
The other nice thing that we liked about it was the 15-year warranty, which, you know, it's 3 years better than anyone else and 5 years better than Triangle Tube. And that's something that can help sell the product to the homeowner, to the dealer.
This is a product that we're talking about next, the DWB copper boiler that is not in stock yet, but there has been some interest within Pierce Phelps, and perhaps David will bring this in on his next order. While the bulk of the boiler industry is solely focused on high-efficiency boilers, we felt there was a need for a mid-range, extremely price-competitive product. So we're introducing a copper heat exchanger boiler that is mid-efficiency at 85% AFUE. It's a wall-hung boiler, and while it does not condense, it does modulate at a 3-to-1 turn-down ratio, or 33% of full capacity. So it's made in 3 different models. 2 of them are heating only at 100,000 input or 130,000 input, and the largest version is a combi unit at 150,000 BTUs. The 2 heating-only models, the 100 will modulate all the way down to 33,000 BTUs, the 130 down to about 43, and then the combi will modulate down to about 50,000 BTUs. So there's a lot of versatility within the product. Again, it's a coated copper heat exchanger. It's Category 1 or Category 3. It can be sidewall vented using high-temperature stainless, AL294C. The contractor does have an option to bring outside air into the boiler if he wants to make it a sealed combustion system. Or they can vent it into a chimney. Now, the chimney has to be lined with an aluminum liner kit, and the contractor would use B-vent to go from the vent outlet of the boiler to the chimney itself. But it is an extremely, as a copper unit, it's an extremely competitively priced product, far below traditional cast iron boilers, and quite honestly, even below our Pennco product line, which is a value cast iron line. So we're very excited about this. We see a lot of possibilities in inner city applications, and certainly contractors that have been installing copper heat exchanger boilers, such as Teledyne Lars, or Lochinvar, or Raypak. Generally, they buy those boilers for price and because of overall weight, and this boiler will fit into both of those criteria. It's lightweight and it's extremely competitively priced. The next product is our DXL. This is also a product that has been brought into inventory. The DXL is our mid-efficient 82 and above percent atmospherically vented cast iron boiler. I'll start off by saying that every Dunkirk boiler is made from cast iron boiler sections joined by cast iron push nipples. We don't use rubber gaskets, such as companies like Weil-McLain or H.B. Smith use, and we don't use steel push nipples like Buderus or Slantfin use. And we stick with cast iron because that's what the sections are made out of, and the cast iron push nipple will expand and contract at the same rate as the boiler section, giving us a nice tight seal in between sections. Again, it's an atmospherically vented boiler, but what's nice about it is we have a built-in draft diverter. If you look at the picture of the boiler at the bottom of the screen, you'll see companies like Burnham, Slantfin, Weil-McLain, Buderus. They all require an external draft hood. It adds about 12 to 18 inches to the installation height of the boiler. And if you're looking at older homes that have low basements, sometimes those boilers will not fit in that installation. So you have a built-in draft diverter on the DXL. The only thing the contractor has to account for is the vent damper that comes with the boiler, and then he puts his smoke pipe right on top of the vent damper. All boilers, gas boilers now, have to be electronic ignition. There is no more standing pilot boilers. Additionally, there was DOE compliance changes that every boiler manufacturer had to comply with as of September 2012. And so there are a variety of controls that each manufacturer could choose to utilize to achieve the reset that the government requested. We're using the hydro-level hydrostat control, and one of the features of that it gives us is there's built-in low-water cutoff. So your contractors don't need to buy an external low-water cutoff with this boiler. It's there already. The DXL is manufactured in size ranges from 50 through 200,000 BTUs, and again with a minimum AFUE of 82%. So that's what the hydro-level hydrostat control looks like. Again, it's got a nice digital display for the contractor. Low-water cutoff is built in, and then the boiler reset control that we all needed to add to our boilers, both for hot water gas as well as hot water oil. It is on there. And again, what that simply does is delay ignition and try to satisfy a call for heat by circulating latent heated water that's within the boiler from the last run cycle. The Empire water boiler is an oil-fired hot water boiler. We make this in two different configurations, either straight heat or we make them with tankless coils. By code, all oil-fired boilers have to be a minimum of 84% AFUE. This is a chimney-vented boiler. One of the nice features about it is it's easy for the contractor to clean and service. The burner comes pre-mounted at the factory, but it's mounted on a cast iron swing door. So it's very easy for the contractor to get in there, clean the whole combustion area, and also do a visual inspection on the nozzle and the electrodes on the burner at the end of the blast tube. We make the boiler is available and rated for several different sizes. We make it from the factory in the three sizes that you see in black: 3-section firing a gallon, 4-section at a gallon 50, and those are the two sizes that you're bringing into stock. We also make it a 5-section at a 1.75 gallons. Now, at the highest firing rate per section, which is how we ship them, you're going to get a minimum of 84% AFUE. We do make re-rate kits, which David has brought into stock, which will derate or downfire the boiler to a lower firing rate, which will also boost the AFUE as high as 86% on certain models, and that'll get us into Energy Star, anything 85% and above. You've also brought these boilers are available with Beckett burners as well as Riello burners, and you've brought them into inventory in both ways. The Pennco product line is another division of ECR International. It is our more price-competitive product offering. I'll start off by telling you that the cast iron sections inside are exactly the same as the cast iron sections in the Dunkirk boiler. We don't sacrifice the quality of the internal workings of the boiler to come out with a more price-competitive product. What we've done, I'll go over the features and benefits of the Pennco series to show you how we're able to make the Pennco product a little bit more cost-competitive. So as you can see by the 15B, it's also a low-profile boiler. It does not have an integrated flue collector that the DXL does. It's still low profile because we have an external draft hood that will hang off the back of the boiler. So that in itself is a different design and engineering and manufacturing process, and that allows us to save a little bit of money. Additionally, we're not using the hydro-level hydrostat operating control. If you look at the picture, you'll see there's a box on the left side, and in that box there's a Honeywell control, is the boiler operating control. So by stepping down from hydro level to Honeywell, there's another cost savings in there as well. The nice thing about the 15B is that all the piping and controls are on the left side of the boiler. So if you have customers that have an application where they need to pipe their supply and return on the left side, where on the DXL it's on the right side, you have that option with the Pennco product. So Pennco boilers, as David has said, and I'll reiterate, are very cost competitive. Ideal for new construction builders, certainly for property management, and then the smaller independent contractor that doesn't have a big shop, that's working out of his truck, that doesn't maybe have the financial resources to buy a Helix or even a DXL. The Pennco product offering will fit into their budget, and also for installations for low-income areas. As far as the price of the product, it will compete very nicely against Crown, Williamson, Slant Fin, and New Yorker. So the 15B is available in a multiple size ranges from 45,000 up to 299,000 BTUs, all at a minimum AFUE of 82%. The keystone is the oil-fired offering from Pennco, which David has brought in 3 and 4 sections, both with and without a coil. And it's basically the same boiler as the Dunkirk Empire, with one major exception, and that is it does not have or feature the cast iron burner-mounted swing door. there's a fixed burner mounting plate that burner is attached to. So in order for the contractor to do a cleaning on it, he has to physically remove the entire burner to get into the combustion area, as well as remove the top of the boiler and the flue collector to be able to clean in between the sections. The other thing that separates Pennco from Dunkirk is the warranty. The Dunkirk hot water gas and oil boiler, the DXL and the Empire, feature a 20-year cast-to-last warranty, which is a full 20-year non-prorated warranty. On the Pennco product, it's a 20-year warranty that's prorated after 10 years. So because of that prorating in there, we were able to reduce some cost, and again, by removing some features and benefits off the boiler and by modifying the warranty is how we achieve a more price-competitive price point on the Pennco without sacrificing the quality of the heat exchanger itself.
Okay, thanks, Dean. That's great. Just a couple of other points. In terms of what we've brought in and where it's at the branch, you'll all have the Helix. You'll all have the DXL. Limited oil, mainly to the branches that were selling oil before. Pennco, we've restricted to the areas where we saw there was a large, low-income, mainly sort of urban-type places, and the Pennco oil, even fewer places. We will be bringing in the copper-based products, which also includes the combi. I just didn't want to sort of expose us to too large a sort of initial investment, but we still spend almost $300,000 on inventory to get set up for what we have. Next week I'll send out price sheets. My request to you guys is twofold. The first one is please run through this with your staff so they know about the product. I'm going to put this up on the portal, and I'm also going to put a recording of the actual webinar where we normally put it on the H drive. So hopefully you'll have two ways of getting this information out. Then the other challenge is what Dunkirk does is they call it the Dunkirk Challenge. And they go out and they'll meet with dealers and they'll look at what they're doing and what their price on the Dunkirk would be and see what savings they would accrue. And the dealers get a credit on their future Dunkirk purchases, their Helix purchases. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. We're going to get Michelle to sort of kind of get a phone campaign going around that as well. But I'll share that sort of script that we developed so that you guys can also start to push that. Let me know if you've got any questions. If you want to post your questions in the question box, we'll try and answer them. So we'll give you a few more minutes.
The other thing, if I can say, is by now the branches should have been receiving both Dunkirk and Pennco banners from a company called St. Andrews, which is our I'm going to say non-literature fulfillment center. Anything that is non-printable would come from St. Andrews, and we requested that banners go to each branch. From a company called Triad Marketing, you'll be receiving literature that's already been ordered to go to each branch. Between now and the next couple of weeks, there'll be individual visits from our company, from myself, my partner Wes Congleton, Matt Hopper, our sales associate. You should be seeing one of the three of us within the next couple of weeks just to individually go over the Dunkirk product line with all of you.
Okay, in terms of getting the product in, thank you, Harry, for that question. The product's due to arrive next week. It'll bounce through the distribution, through 15, and hopefully out to all you guys, so you have it by the end of next week. We talked about the warranty already. And you're all being very shy and quiet. So I'll give you another minute to screw up that courage and post a question. I know you're not all cowering behind your desk. I guess you are.
You know, just to expand a little on Harry's question as far as warranty, again, it's 15 years on the heat exchanger for the Helix boiler, 1 year on parts. For cast iron hot water boilers, it's 20 years non-prorated on a heat exchanger, 1 year on parts. For anything down the road, if you have applications for steam boilers, our steam warranty is 10 years. And then 1 year on parts. The copper boiler is a little different. That will have a 10-year warranty on the heat exchanger, but 2 years on parts. We also work with a aftermarket warranty company called Cornerstone that your dealers can get in contact with. They don't buy the warranties through you or through Dunkirk. They buy them direct from Cornerstone, but Cornerstone does offer both 5 and 10-year parts and labor warranties, or just 5 and 10-year parts warranties that your dealers can buy one at a time. It's not like they have to buy them in packages, and they can add them to their proposal and sell them directly to the homeowner along with a boiler and installation.
All right, I'm going to, as we have dried up on the question front, I'm going to end the webinar. Like I said, let's make sure we run through this with all your staff in the branch. Dean, Wes, Toby Rank, and Matt should be all coming round to meet you all in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We are going to do training on this at the next training in 59th Street, which is going to be mid-September. That's all scheduled as well. So hopefully you'll all become fairly comfortable with the product quite quickly. Thanks very much, and happy selling.
Thank you.